Shalom, Brukaba. Welcome. I am joined here with Chase and maybe eventually Andrew. We'll see. Of Sons of Thunder Apologia. We're going to be going over arguments against Allah and his being evil according to the Quran. So the Quran is pretty clear on this, that Allah is the responsible for party for sin, for evil in general. And we're basically just gonna prove that. I'm just gonna go through, I don't know, like 70 Quran verses or so, 30. We're gonna go through a lot, and then a bunch of Hadith, and then some arguments past that. But long stream tonight. We'll see if Andrew joins, and if Chase stays awake. If Chase goes to sleep beforehand, I'll just do the ending on my own. I'm a little wired, so
I'm strong.
it's time to lock in. We're gonna be here for a hot minute. Is this where the party's at? Absolutely. This is indeed where the party is at.
What is his profile pic?
It looks like Allah in the middle.
That's what I thought too. Is that the 99 names?
I don't know.
You want me to pull up Quran.com?
No, I got it.
Okay.
I got it. So we gonna be going through a whole bunch of stuff. We might as well jump right into it. So preamble.
You say the Lord's Prayer in Arabic?
The Our Father in Arabic. Yeah. The Lord's Prayer in Arabic is his profile picture. It's pretty based.
It's pretty
based. I remembered Yeti not being a Muslim, so I was like,
I was gonna say
that's weird, but no, that's pretty based. All right. So let's go to the Quran. And we're gonna start off with Surah 3.
Yay.
And go to verse 7. This is something that everyone should remember because the Quran fails it literally all the time. So Surah 3:7 says, "It is he who revealed to you the book in which there are clear signs. They are the mother of the book, and others ambiguous or unclear. But those in whose hearts is doubt pursue what is ambiguous, seeking dissension by trying to explain it. No one knows its interpretation except Allah." This gets into the scholar's dilemma. "And those who are of sound instruction say, we believe in it, all of it is from our Lord, but only men of understanding are really mindful." Not that men of understanding are the only ones who can actually comprehend it, but those who are truly wise will be those who just blindly accept it. Allah alone knows their interpretation. So the problem of tafsir is there are parts that are clear, which are the mother of the book, and parts that are unclear. If you explain the unclear, you are pursuing evil. You are doing something that Allah expressly doesn't want you to do, and only fools would do it. Only those who seek dissension, only those who are basically not part of the ummah, by trying to explain it. So again, it's tafsir, it's exegesis. If you're doing exegete of the unclear verses, you're doing error. Problem is, you don't know what's clear and what's unclear because Allah doesn't say. So if you've exegeted the entire Quran, as dozens or hundreds of scholars have done throughout history, all of those would be in error because of this verse. Now, this verse only exists because of Surah 2, because the beginning of Surah 2 is so unclear that people were arguing about it. So then Muhammad came up with this. This was his solution to him making something that was really stupid and really dumb. Hello. So this is his solution, and this is what I want to have in the back of our heads throughout the rest of the stream, is there are clear verses and there are unclear verses. These are literally ayats, so little verses of the Quran, and unclear ones, ambiguous ones in which you cannot understand. So if something seems clear, is it clear? Hard to say, but if it is clear, like if it's just plainly obvious, I would suspect it would be part of the clear signs. And that's going to be important because the way Muslims interpret all of the verses we're about to go through for Allah's determinism, for the doctrine of Kadar, which you have to believe as a Muslim, otherwise you are a kafir, which is predestination. Islam teaches exhaustive divine predestination of all things. So, specifically, all things were predestined 50,000 years before creation. That's the actual claim. So, we have all things predestined according to the Quran, according to the Hadith, according to the tafsir, and later exegetes and later imams and sheikhs, they all started to contradict this because obviously you can't have that, or Allah is evil and Islam is false. So they were ignoring the Quran, as Muslims often do, because the Quran is a bad book that you can't actually live under. So they change it. They rip it to shreds according to what the Quran says about those who do that exact thing, cherry picking. So this will be the standard of, if it is plainly obvious, we're going to consider it a clear verse. And if Muslims then complain about us considering these things as clear, we will then ask them, well, what about it is ambiguous? And if it is ambiguous, are you trying to understand it, or is that seeking dissension? Like, what do you do as a Muslim if you can't actually accept scholarship of things that people argue about? You have to believe it. It's just blind faith. So that is one side of it. The other side of it is Surah 482, which is just as bad for them. Will they not then ponder on the Quran? If it had been from anyone other than Allah, they would have found much discrepancy within it. The other word you could translate this as contradiction. So if there's any contradictions, it's not from Allah, according to the Quran. So we have several clear verses that we are about to read that are contradictory, that prove Allah is evil. That is what we're trying to do in this video, in this stream. We're going to be proving Allah is evil from the Quran because of him being the author of sin and suffering. Starting out with Surah 2, 6 through 7. If you have anything to say, Chase, just go ahead and cut me off. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep trucking along.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm just doing a little.
You see the proof. Yes. So, as for the unbelievers, it is all the same for them whether you warn them or don't warn them, they do not believe. Allah has sealed their hearing and their hearts, and over their eyes there is a covering. They will suffer and offer doom. Now, whether or not you warn them, which is super important in the Quran, whether or not you warn them, they will not believe. Because Allah has sealed their hearing and their hearts, and over their eyes there is a covering. This seems pretty clear. Allah is the one who is causing these people, these kafir, the mushrikun, to reject him outright. He has caused them to reject him. That seems pretty clear. The tafsir also agree with that. Pretty much. Yeah, and even if you were to bring the people of the book, all the ayat, they would not follow your qibla. These ayat indicate that whomever Allah has written to be miserable, they shall never find anyone to guide them to happiness. And whomever Allah directs to misguidance, he shall never find anyone to guide him. So do not pity them, O Muhammad, deliver the message to them. Certainly whoever among them accepts the message, then he shall gain the best rewards, which is actually not true according to the Hadith. As for those who turn away in rejection, do not feel sad for them or concerned about them, for your duty is only to convey the message, and on us is the reckoning. But you are only a warner, and Allah is the disposer, the trustee, the guardian, the wakil. So, and this was Ibn Kathir, and all the other ones are pretty much exactly the same. There's many different tafsir you can go through for it, but it is Allah that is causing this exact thing to happen, that they don't have any control whatsoever on their hearing or their hearts or their eyes or their accepting of the truth of Islam, which is pretty silly. Yeah, Islam can't even give a satisfactory explanation of what Allah means. Their book is just another item on that long list of things they can't explain. Indeed. Yes. Hey, we're going to get into that later. That's the argument of love. There's a contradiction within God's name and God's actions. in Islam. So at the end of Surah 2, you have another verse that's also important. Then guiding of them is not your duty. This is Surah 2, 272. But Allah guides whom He wills. In whatever good things you spend, it is for yourselves. And when you do not expend except in search of Allah's face, in whatever good thing you spend, it will be repaid to you in full, and you will not be wronged. Allah guides who He wills. Again, this is going to be the main like argument that we're going to be reading from, because there's like 30 to 40 verses that are just basically this. Allah guides those who have faith into the faith, and He misguides those whom He wills. So Allah is deliberately sending people to hell. And it's going to become painfully obvious the more verses that we read. And
now, Chris, sorry, go ahead. Well, some people would say, yeah, but Chase, the God of Christianity sends people to hell too. That's actually wrong. The God of Christianity doesn't send anybody to hell. People send themselves to hell. They choose to go there. So there is no, right? Like
equivocation or anything.
It's different. It's not the same.
Right. This is not a whataboutism of, Christianity. No. This is very different type of mentality, unless you're a Calvinist. Then it would be pretty much identical.
Which of course I am. So, no, but yeah. C.S. Lewis, based philosopher, once said that the doors of hell are locked from the inside.
Mm-hmm. Yep. What ails you? This is Surah 488. What ails you that you have become two parties regarding the hypocrites when Allah sent them back because of what they earned? Do you seek to guide him whom Allah has led astray? He whom Allah leads astray, for him you cannot find a way, a derek, which is again part of the rabbinic stuff. This is just copied from the Jews. But Allah is the one whom is leading the man astray. If Allah leads us astray, like I'm kafir, according to Islam, Allah has led me astray. I've examined the Quran. I've read all of it. I've read much of the Hadith. I've read a lot of the tafsir. I've read a decent bit of the surah or sirah. I have more opportunity. I've ingested 3.5 years of Islamic material content, da'i arguments, debates, the books, all the sources. I have gone through it. I could definitely have been led to the path by Allah, yet I'm still a kafir because it makes no sense. It's a broken theological system. And it contradicts the Bible, which the Bible, it also affirms the Bible, Islamic dilemma and all that stuff. But it doesn't make any sense. If Allah does exist, He is sending me to hell. He has led me astray because He made this religion be the most obviously false religion of all time, other than Mormonism and Scientology. So you have like the top 5 most obviously false belief systems you can have. Scientology, Mormonism, and Islam are definitely in the top 5. I'm trying to think of some other ones that are just like so painfully obviously stupid, but I can't think of anything else that are that stupid right now.
Well,
but
yeah, in terms of that stupid, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of dumb ones, but I don't know if there's any.
There's the Mother God cult.
That one, see, again, that's still more possible than the other 3.
I
mean,
well, obviously it's false, but I see what you're saying.
False, but yeah,
I see what you're saying.
Sure, God could just come back as another human, and then you do the whole thing with the female version of it, but it's still, it's so dumb. Anyway, now Winskog is a World Mission Society Church of God, is the cults, and they have a Korean woman as God the Mother. And then in reincarnation of Jesus Christ.
Yep. It's a dude in Korea.
It's 2 people in Korea that are gods on earth. Yeah. So
pretty basic.
Yeah, it's very, very stupid. Anyway. But Allah is the one who'd be responsible for me going to hell, not me. Is kind of the idea. There's nothing I could do in which I could find a way to Islam.
Now, Chris, the Muslim would say yes, but you desire to go to hell too, right?
No, I don't.
You desire to go to hell too. No, but you do. And here's the problem. Let's say, for the sake of argument, that yeah, I want to go to hell, right? Let's say I want, and I'm going to be blatantly honest with you, and I've said this before. If Islam is true, I would much rather go to Gehenna. But here's the thing, right? Let's
I
say
think
that
anyone
that's
would
true.
rather go to Jannah because Jahannam is just like,
It's terrible.
why would you want to? Right.
Just
Unless
to
you're
get
just
as
like a
far away
masochist, but
from,
even then.
just to get as far away from Allah as possible. I, but anyways, let's say I want to go to Gehenna, right? And
Mhm,
Allah has determined me to go to Gehenna.
mhm,
The problem is that the grounds that he's basing me going to Gehenna on, right? It's because I'm a sinner that I'm going to Gehenna, not because I want to, right?
mhm.
And so the problem is that you cannot have an actual judiciary and morally accountable system with determinism like that.
Correct.
And so like if I wanted to go to if it were just me wanting to go to Jahannam and Allah sent me to Jahannam, fantastic. But he's sending me there because I'm a sinner and because I'm a kafir,
Right.
not because I want to go there. And so
Right.
that's the problem. And we see that also in other deterministic systems.
Right. And we're gonna get that painfully clear by the end of the Hadith and the end of the Quran sections we're going to be reading. That it is so obviously clear that that is Allah's position, that He forces us to sin,
Yeah,
and then punishes us for it. I have no option to be a kafir by Islamic standards. I have absolutely no option to be a kafir. Allah is forcing me to it, and then Allah will force me to suffer eternally in Jahannam.
do you think that
That's
there's like
evil.
a do you think there's a psychological motive for Muhammad making Allah to be deterministic? Or like a social influence type deal? Because I don't think those rabbinic Jews were deterministic.
Yeah, they were.
They were?
Yeah. Kadar comes straight from the rabbis. There's a section in the Talmud which says that whenever the baby is a clot in the womb,
Mm,
God writes for it all of its personality traits, all of its actions, all its deeds that it'll do
that's
in
in
book.
Islam too.
That's in, I think, the Quran. If it's not in the
Yeah,
Quran,
yeah.
it's in a Hadith.
It's
It's in these Hadith right here.
mhm,
I have it pulled up right now. We'll go through
mm,
that. Um,
good.
that is just straight ripped from the Talmud and Midrash. So that the view of Kadar, the view of exhaustive divine um, determination, that is straight from the rabbis.
Mm,
I don't think all the rabbis had that view
I
of
I doubt it.
determinism,
I
but
don't
it
think so.
was significant enough that it was extremely easy to find for the Talmudic dilemma. So
Interesting.
I have several passages on that for determinism.
Mm,
Yeah. Anyway, so just another thing. 119 is another verse that's relevant because it's about Shaitan. So they invoke instead of him only females. Then this is again Surah 4. Then pray to no one else but Satan, a rebel whom Allah cursed. And he said, "Surely I will take an appointed shares of your slaves, and surely I will lead them astray, and surely I will arise desirers in them, and surely I will command them, and they will cut the cattle's ears, and surely I will command them, and they will change Allah's creation." Whoever chooses Satan for a
mm.
patron instead of Allah is indeed a loser, and his loss is clear. Now,
Loser.
here it's Allah will lead them astray, but we have many other places where it's, no, sorry, here it's Satan, Iblis, leading people astray. And we have many other places where Allah is the one who is responsible for leading them astray. And you get the same kind of contradiction in a couple other things, like the angels are the ones who cause people to die. And the Quran also says that Allah is the one who causes people to die. So you have both angels are the only ones, and Allah is the only one to cause people to die. So the way Muslim exegetes have historically fixed that contradiction is just by saying all things that happen only happen by Allah's will. So if anything happens, you can just say Allah did it,
Mm.
which is not good for Allah not being evil. Because you
And
can say that
also,
Allah did rape of children and ate them, and like all like everything Jeffrey Epstein did, Allah did from
right.
that view to solve that contradiction.
And that's actually how some people get out of the whole crucifixion thing. They say, well, the Jews didn't do it or the Romans didn't do it. Allah did it. It just made it look like they did it, you know.
Yep.
Um
Yep. They do that a lot. But again, it backfires because then that makes Allah the author of evil in all regards, which the Quran already says, but it makes it so explicit you can't get away from it.
right. And a lot of them don't.
Right. They just blanket.
I think that determinism is really something that like Christian apologists are not pushing back on Islam enough.
Right. I agree.
Because I think that it is completely and utterly self-defeating. And not only that, but I think Muslims, once confronted with determinism, I think that would probably have a bit of an impact on some Muslims, because like a lot of Muslims don't know. Like they just don't know that they have to believe in determinism.
It's a required doctrine, otherwise you're a kafir, according to the exegetes, according to the classical scholars.
And so like, and some of them just, and they don't read any of that stuff, and their imams don't teach them any of those things because it's really, you know, brother. So like, so like they just don't know. But I feel like people naturally, I don't know, there's something about it, like just natural existence.
We know we have free will.
That you just can destroy determinism.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't line up with our lived experience.
No,
or
of
logic.
Course not.
Yeah.
Or how you function. You just can't under that system.
Yeah. So that's why we are doing streams like these. I might do this stream like 5 or 10 times over the next couple of years. Just repeatedly on loop, like maybe once a quarter or so, just so people are like, oh yeah, this is the verses. These are the verses. This is what I need to know to answer against Islam. Because in my opinion, this is one of like the top 10 arguments against Islam is determinism.
Top 5
because
for me.
Yeah. I think there's just so many other really, really good ones. Like the Ezra thing, like no Jews ever worshipped Ezra. But anyway, there's really simple ones that are really easy to use. That's why I think I put those above this one. But as far as like importance, obviously, you know, that's just a false claim in the Quran. Any false claim in the Quran disproves the Quran. But here is the Quran endorsing Allah to be evil. And I'm going to make a case that Allah is Satan in this stream. And I'm also going to make a case that Allah is he's an impossible being based on his names. His names don't actually allow him to exist. So anyway, we got a lot to go through. So I'm going to keep going. Same Surah 4, 143. Swerving in between neither to those nor to these, neither to nor to those. He who Allah causes to go astray, you will not find a way for him. So again, this is the same phraseology in Arabic here. And I searched this phraseology, which is how I found a lot of these. But Allah is causing them to go astray. We're going to see this dozens of times.
Alhamdulillah.
So Surah 6 is the next surah. We're going to jump past Surah 5. Surah 6, 25. Among them are some people who listen to you, but we have placed veils upon their hearts so they may not understand, and in their ears a deafness. If they saw every sign, they would not believe in them, to the point that when they come to you to argue with you, the unbelievers say, this is nothing other than fables of the men of old. So again, it's like, you know,
that is what we say.
It is indeed what it is. Yes. Like he's a rabbi. Anyway. So Allah place deafness in their ears and veils over their hearts so that they could not take in, so that they may not understand. Allah is the one controlling how they respond essentially to the Muslim gospel, to the way of Islam.
Yeah, and we would affirm that there is hardening in Christianity too, but it's judicial in every case, right? It's not in any way, it's not in any way, or opposed to that person's proclivity. right? That person desires to be hardened, and so the Lord hardens them further.
He lets them, the wording of Romans is quite clear on the matter. In Romans 1 and 2. It is basically the judicial hardening is God gives you over to your debaseness and allows you to go deeper into it. And whenever you go deeper into it, you're not going to seek him. You're not going to desire him. So your heart is basically seared. Your conscience is seared with a hot iron from the sin and from the desire of sin. But God can still redeem you from that point. It's not that you become unredeemable. You can still be redeemed even through judicial hardening. Paul was redeemed through, like, he literally had the scales over the eyes and he was redeemed. He was slaying people. He was doing unforgivable sins according to the Mosaic law, and yet God still redeemed him. The Islamic version of this is no. Even when you do minor sins, Allah is going to cause you to go to hell no matter what, even from birth, before birth.
So, you know, the story of Paul is one of my favorites in Scripture, and it details to me one doctrine that I hold very dear, that I think only the God of Christianity has, and it is that if a person desires to be saved, the Lord will remove every roadblock from that person, right? And so he literally appears to Paul. And so you have atheists all the time saying, well, if Jesus appeared to me, well, he does. It's just he knows that you're not going to repent if that's the case. So it takes more for you. And believe me, the Lord works on everybody. But if you are genuine and that's what you desire to happen, not in spite of other things. Like if you have other things, then no, the Lord's not gonna honor your stupid request. But if that's genuinely what it takes, my God will provide these things for you because he loves you, right?
Yeah. Unlike Allah. He does not love the kafir.
Or the Muslims.
A bit later. Yeah, he doesn't love the Muslims either. Hey, I made a video. It's coming out tomorrow on that. Allah hates those who practice Ramadan. So happy Ramadan. Allah hates you. Anyway. So Surah 6, 110. We confound their hearts and their eyes, since they did not believe in it at first. We let them wander blindly in their insolence, since they did not believe at first. But we confound their hearts and their eyes. So again, I put in some of the ones that Muslims use to argue against this, is that it is unbelief of the people that's causing the hardening by Allah. But that's not actually what's being taught here. This would be a contradiction. So again, the clear and the unclear. Is it clearly the case that Allah causes those who would go to hell to go to hell? Yes. Is it also clear that we sin and then Allah does it? Yes. Which one is it? It's contradiction. Well, there's not supposed to be any contradiction in the Quran, and you're also not supposed to exegete the unclear. So you're just stuck in this sense of blind obedience to contradictory viewpoints, and you have no way to actually reconcile them. I don't know what you do with that. But later on, just a couple sentences later, and whoever it is Allah's will to guide, he expands his breast to Islam, and whoever it is his will to lead astray, he makes his breast close and narrow as if you were to engage in a steep ascent. Like if you were to climb a mountain. In this way, Allah places disgrace upon those who do not believe. So it is up to Allah whether or not you will believe. But earlier in 110, it was, you didn't believe, therefore Allah cursed you. They did not believe at first, so we let them blindly wander in their insolence. But it's also up to Allah whether or not he will guide you to make you believe. It seems like a contradiction within the same paragraph. I don't see how you can get past this, but let's keep going because we have dozens of these. So 730. He has led a group rightly, while error has a just hold over a group. For indeed, they choose the Satans for protecting supporters instead of Allah, and think they are rightly guided. So he has led a group rightly. Allah is leading rightly one group and unrightly the other group, but makes them think that they are rightly guided. That's worse. That's more evil. This is Allah deceiving the hellfire people, the people of the hellfire, the men of the blaze.
Give me a sec. What verse is that? I'm sorry.
730. This is Allah rightly guiding one group and then making the other group that is not rightly guided think they are rightly guided. This is about as evil as you can get.
Right. Because yeah, there's sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, it's like there is no other way that, like, there's no way justice can happen in the system, because not only are they misguided by Allah, they have no inclination that they're misguided. They think that they're in the right path, so they have no way to repent because they think they're on the right path. Why would you repent if you're on the right path? So Allah is forcing them into hell, essentially.
Right. Yeah, there's a similar, so you know, there exists the idea of evanescent grace, where like God essentially it is defined as a temporary experience of divine grace that fades over time. So God gives grace to a person and then takes it away.
Yeah.
That concept also exists in my namesake, but
I don't know if people have seen your name lately. There you go.
The prior determiner.
The prior determiner. I didn't see that part. That's funny. Could this ironically mean that if someone is having doubts one way or the other, then Islam is false?
Nah, so their doubts are determined. So then
their doubts would also be determined, yeah.
Yeah, so it wouldn't necessarily mean that Islam is false. I think that determinism is self-defeating, but having doubts is not one of the ways that I think determinism defeats itself.
Right. I mean, even Muhammad had doubts.
Yeah.
So
now,
what do you do with that?
Why?
It's crazy.
The reason you have those doubts does defeat determinism, but I don't think that necessarily having doubts, like, I don't think you can. Well, I mean, you might be able to formulate an argument. You can formulate a lot of arguments against determinism.
So let's just do that real quick.
Okay.
So if you have a doubt in a deterministic system, the God of that system, let's just say Allah, because I don't want to say Yahweh is evil.
No.
So, let's say Allah for all of it, including the Calvinistic perspective, because I don't really think there's much of a difference between the Calvinistic God and Allah. So we have Allah, and if Allah is causing you to be guided into hellfire, whether you're having doubts or even if he's causing you to go into paradise, if you're having doubts, he's also causing the doubts, but that would kind of make him a deceiver. Or like, what is the purpose of doubts within a system that's already closed?
Right.
If you already have people who are predetermined to go to heaven or hell, what purpose is there in doubts to begin with, other than Allah's like deception? It doesn't make any sense.
It's like a puppet game, right? And that's how I've always imagined Calvinism as being, is we're all just puppets, right? And this is just for his pleasure. And here's the thing, right? So the way that you could go about formulating having doubts as an argument against Islam is this: that God is the sufficient cause for every belief under determinism, right? He is the determining cause. But if that is the case, then rationality is not necessarily the cause for beliefs. It's not the sufficient cause, at the very least, for any belief. Now, you could say, well, Chase, God could use a person's rationale to determine their belief. Like, given the evidence that they know and all these things, he uses that rationale to determine that person's belief. Here's the problem. God has access to all evidence. So whether or not that person has access to it or not is irrelevant, because God is determining a false belief to that person.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of the problem there, is that you're having doubts because God determined that you come to that doubtful conclusion, that conclusion of doubt, not because of any mental faculties or real reason that you have. And this is my favorite argument right here, is that you cannot rationally justify anything in determinism, whether it's gravity or love or, freedom. Nothing can be rationally justified under Calvinism or determinism. That too, though. Sorry, determinism, more importantly. So that's the idea, is that you only believe something because God made you believe it, not because you think it's correct. Because you don't think, unfortunately.
It's true. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll get through a little bit of the God causes people to have false beliefs and how that also debunks Islam. That by itself, Allah causes people to have false beliefs. No matter what school of Islamic thought you're in, that disproves Islam, which we'll get to. That's one of my arguments against Islam. So
Surah, I love his Clippy profile picture from Windows 95.
Tom or Talon, yeah.
Talon, yeah.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Clippy. No, it's from the Take Back the Internet campaign.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, all the people made their profile pictures Clippy. Because Clippy was nice to you. Clippy didn't steal your data. Clippy didn't, sell your internet on the black sites and data brokerages, and it allowed you to actually own things. Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm a woman.
For your is still gender neutral, but I did say he. So I apologize.
Yeah. She's much more base than that.
Hers.
Yeah. Allah made you have the false thoughts.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, Surah 7:179, already we have created many of the jinn of mankind for Gehenna. So he created people for the purpose of suffering eternally. Does that sound
This
good?
Is 7:179.
Yep. Does that sound good? Or does that sound evil?
It's evil.
I would say that's evil. Having hearts with which they do not understand, and having eyes with which they do not see, and having ears with which they do not hear, they are like cattle. No, they are worse. Those are neglectful. They are worse than cattle.
Yeah, and through no fault of our own.
Through no fault of our own. You were created worse than cattle.
And I like a good steak.
Yeah, fair. This is why Muslims are so emboldened to kill kafir.
Yeah.
Because we're worse than cattle. We are the worst of creatures, like Jews and Christians, but any people created for Gehenna are worse than cattle. And you can obviously kill cattle. You can obviously have intercourse with cattle from what the Muslims actually practice. But you can, again, that's halal. So it's like, hey, I'm going to go grape 12-year-old British women as a Pakistani in the UK.
British girls. That is
British
not a woman.
Girls. Very, very clear. Very, very good distinction there. Graping British girls as a Pakistani in the UK. They can do that because those little girls are like cattle or worse than cattle, according to their God.
Which is no God.
Which is no God. It is Satan. I'm going to make an argument for that. But let's go through the Hadith, because this is super... There's a lot of Hadith on this concept.
Can I read the little blurb here? Sorry. Allah has created a large number of human beings and jinns solely in order to torture them in hellfire. Those who suffer this fate are entirely bestial. Okay, interesting. However, Ibn Kathir does not see anything arbitrary about Allah's judgment here. We prepared them for it by their performance of the deeds of its people. When Allah intended to create the creation, he knew what their work will be before they existed. He wrote all this in a book, kept it with him 50,000 years before he created the heavens and earth. The difficulty remains, however, in that he nonetheless created those who were to reject him.
Yep. Hey, this is what I quoted earlier. So that's the base hadith that I was mentioning. I don't remember what number it is, but I'm pretty sure it's Muslim.
It's Muslim. Yeah, it's Muslim 20. Hang on. What is that? 2645A, I think.
I've read it before, and it's part of my Talmudic dilemma. I just don't have it memorized for that passage. But yeah, that is actually the view, is that we are, part of Kadar is that it was written 50,000 years before creation. And a Sahih, one of the most Sahih Hadith collections for the Sunnis. So I'm pretty sure Shia also believe in Kadar, but this idea of we created for hell, people and jinn, this I want to go through all of these Hadith, which are all related to this idea. So this is Sahih Bukhari 3208. Make it slightly bigger. Oh, that's stupid. I really hate how it goes from that to that.
I know.
It's so unreadable. Why? Anyway. Wish there was a better format for the Hadith online for free. Allah's Messenger, the true and truly inspired, said, the matter of the creation of a human being is put together in the womb of the mother in 40 days, and then he becomes a clot of thick blood for a similar period, and then a piece of flesh for a similar period. Then Allah sends an angel who is ordered to write 4 things.
Mm-hmm.
He is ordered to write down his deeds, his livelihood, what he will do, his date of death, and whether he will be blessed or wretched in religion. This is almost word for word from the Jewish sources. By the way, these 4 things in particular.
Yeah, this is in Muslim too.
This is Jewish, but it's a big problem.
Yeah.
Then the soul is breathed into him, so a man amongst you may do good deeds until there's only a cubit between him and paradise, and then what has been written for him decides his behavior, and he starts doing evil deeds characteristic of the people of the hellfire. And similarly, a man amongst you may do evil deeds till there's only a cubit, what's like 3 feet, 4 feet, between him and the hellfire. The Arabic cubit is different than the Hebrew cubit.
Oh, okay. I was going to say the Hebrew cubit's only like what? 1.5 2 feet, right?
I think it's longer than that. The elbow to the middle of the... Why would I want to know? I don't know the length.
Somewhere
48 centimeters.
So, okay.
So just over a foot. Yeah, about 1.5 feet.
What is it in American?
It's 30 is a foot, so it's just over 1.5 feet.
Arabic is?
Yeah, the Arabic is.
I wonder about the Hebrew cubit.
I think it's a little bit longer.
10 hamburgers.
18 inches? Oh, I guess it's about the same.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. It was about 1.5
feet. I was remembering it being longer because of the arc.
Like this, right? From here to here.
Yeah. Okay. So you can reach out and touch it is the idea.
Right.
So a man amongst you may do evil deeds so that there's only a cubit between him and the hellfire, and then what has been written for him decides his behavior, and he starts doing deeds characteristic of the people of paradise. So he is ordered to write down whether or not they're going to go to hell when they're 40 days in the womb. At exactly 40 days, the angels write down in the book whether or not you're going to go to heaven or hell, and all the words and all the deeds you're going to be doing, including your sin. So this actually includes all the sins you will be committing, including, there's another hadith that says, all of the adultery a man will commit in his life is already preordained for him. So,
awesome.
Yeah. Apparently that was so common. What is it in freedom units?
Hey, bro.
10 hamburgers.
It sounds good. You laugh, bro.
Anyway, so even all of the adultery you will commit in your life has been predetermined for you before you were born, before your soul was even breathed into, mind you. This is important. Then the soul is breathed into him. When you are still, according to Islam, because the soul doesn't come into you until like the 3rd trimester, if I remember it correctly.
Under Islam?
Under Islam. It takes several months for a soul to go in, which is why abortion is not
legal.
sin.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's not killing a human in Islam and in
Yes.
Mormonism. So Mormonism and Islam share that, where they have an abnormally high amount of abortions. Because they have that same view.
Which is
You're not a
disgusting.
person until later.
Determinism and abortion are my 2 debate topics that I will absolutely rip someone to shreds. Like, please. Please tell me you think it's okay to kill children. Please.
Yeah. At least Mormonism doesn't have predestination.
Yeah, but it's so much weirder.
Yeah, they stole at you. I mean, it's the most polytheistic religion on the planet.
It is crazy. Literally everyone.
Billions of gods.
Yes.
Billions of gods. Yeah. It's definitely not monotheism.
In no way, shape, or form. Dude, some of their like
they're not even tritheist. Yeah.
Some of their temple practices are weird, bro.
Oh yeah. Yeah. With the white garments and the
it's just weird.
There's
it's a little weird.
Yeah, no, I need to do the thing on Mormonism eventually.
We should do something on Mormonism.
Yeah, we can. You can. Oh, we can save it till then. But yeah. Mormonism is an extremely obviously false belief system. A really interesting take on debunking Mormonism was actually done by Joel Kramer on Expedition Bible. Apparently, he has some like friends in Mormonism, and his take, because there's like standard ways to debunk Mormonism. His take was just the false prophecies angle, but he approached it in a way that was really, really cool. I'll pull it up and put it on screen real quick. So you guys can check that out if you're so inclined, but we'll do a stream on it. Expedition Bible, Mormon. This one. Again, not going to...
It's just a contradiction being... I mean, it's not necessarily a contradiction, like they can do it twice, but...
So, this one, and then I'll put it in the chat if those are interested in it. But it's pretty good. It's an hour long. I still highly recommend it. Very, very interesting way to debunk it. Anyway, so this is before the soul is breathed into the being. So this is not a living person yet. This is before the person is living. You are already decreed for hell.
Yeah.
That's wild. What do you do with that? And then no matter what you do, you will automatically start doing, doesn't matter how holy you are, doesn't matter how evil you are guaranteed to end up where you're supposed to end up by Allah's decree. So the whole notion of trying to reconcile the Quranic passages we're reading is entirely demolished by the Hadith.
Right. Yeah, and it's also kind of like whenever some people will say that, well, God didn't determine your sin, he just, determined that your desire, right? And the problem is that you can't do anything else.
Right. You have no other desires you could have.
So even if you say that that's all he determined, which isn't true, like under determinism, you can't just make that determined. But even if you say that that's all that was determined, it still defeats it because you couldn't do anything else. So it's like if God told me, hey, man, I want you to fly out to LA for an apologetics conference. I'd be like, sweet, when do I fly? He'd say, no, actually, I need you to sprout wings from your back and fly there. I'm like, well, I can't do that, right? Like, that's not it has nothing to do with my desire. Even at that point, it has nothing to do with my desire. I just can't do anything else. Like, I can't do that. So then it's like, and then God says, so now you're going to hell.
Pretty much. That's the gist of it. Being asked, how does this work with the angels writing down your actions per the Quran as you're doing them? And they mentioned Surah 82 and 11, which is important. Indeed, there are guardians above you, generous in recording, who know what you do. So again, this is stolen from the rabbis. So this is just one of the things, and this is pretty early on in Surah. This is just stolen straight from the Talmud and the Midrash, that we have these two angels on our shoulders who are writing our actions down in the book of good judgment and the book of bad judgment. And then your books will be weighed on Judgment Day. I've made a couple videos on this in the Talmud Dilemma series. But this is just straight up from the rabbis. That would just be a contradiction with the Hadith.
Yeah.
That or they're double writing it is one of the other views. So in the rabbinic system, there's two different books. There's the book of all actions and predestination, and there's the books of the deeds that are be weighed. So you could just say it is both and. So you have the deeds books that are weighed that the angels are actively writing in, and you have the book that has all of your actions done before you do it. Mm-hmm. Why you need both? Maybe he just wants to be really technical for his taxes. I have no idea, but it would be either nonsense or a contradiction.
That's what I would say, and
it's
you
Jewish.
You could say, well, yeah, but the angels don't know. It's like, okay.
The angels do have to be the witnesses against you on Judgment Day.
Yeah.
So maybe you could say that. That might be a possible internally coherent view, even though it's still kind of stupid. Why?
But the problem is
need witnesses from the angels to begin with. But
the angels aren't condemning you. Allah is condemning you. So
yeah. It's simple. Allah needs to hold you in the air like he does the birds. The angels were predetermined to write all the predestined actions predestinedly.
Yes. Prior, determinedly.
Much hikmah. Anyway, Sahih Bukhari 3332. Only could be 3333. It'd be nice.
That would be nice.
I mean, there's literally one, but it's not relevant to this. Allah's messenger, the true and truly inspired, false, said, as regards your creation, every one of you is collected in the womb of his mother for the first 40 days, and then he becomes a clot for another 40 days, then a piece of flesh for another 40 days, then Allah sends an angel to write 4 items. He writes his deeds, time of his death, means of his livelihood, and whether or not he will be wretched or blessed in religion. So again, if you're able to write the time of death for all living creatures, you know, and everything's already settled. This is extreme closed determinism, where the exact moment of your death is written down. An infinite, even 50,000 years before creation. But yeah, so you have the 50,000 years before creation book,
which doesn't make sense.
You have the book written during pregnancy, and you have the books written by the angels on your shoulders. They'll be judged on Judgment Day. All 3 of those are rabbinic, but it's not the same rabbi giving each of those positions. So he just took all of the rabbinic positions that were available and threw them on, and just like wet spaghetti on the wall, and just made some of it stick. Again, kind of doesn't make any sense. You have multiple copies of all these actions being done and recorded, and not all of them are used for judgment. So Allah just has them. It's kind of silly. But
yeah, and not only that, but what does 50,000 years before creation even freaking mean?
Yeah. It doesn't.
That's the point. There is no 50,000 years before creation.
Well, Allah exists inside of time.
Yes. Always.
According to the Hadith, yeah. According to the Hadith, Allah exists within time.
It's true. Because yes.
He enters into the third heaven every single night.
Yeah.
So he's constantly in creation, he's constantly in time. And because the earth is spinning, he's always on the planet.
Well, no, Chris, you're wrong.
Muhammad units of time.
It's flat.
It's flat. You're right.
We'll call them mometers.
Mometers. Mometers.
Mometers.
Meters. So then the soul's breathed into his body again. So this is basically the exact same recitation. But again, you can use either. You can use both of them at the same time. And then if you're a part of the hell of the fire, then you start doing the deeds characteristic of the people of paradise and enters paradise. And if you have many deeds characteristic of the people of paradise, so much so that there's only distance between cubit of him in it, then it was written down, but the angel surpasses it. It literally surpasses. You have no option. And he starts doing the deeds of the people of the hellfire and enters the hellfire.
Yeah.
So not only does he trick people into think that they're actively being led into paradise, he also forces everyone to go to hell in which he chooses to go to hell. There is no way this could be just whatsoever. And then we have a bunch of places in the Quran where it says that Allah is not a tyrant.
Well, you see.
I spelled tyrant. I did spell tyrant. It's triant.
He is, in fact, a tyrant.
This is for what your own hands have set before, and Allah is not a tyrant to his slaves. Indeed, Pharaoh was truly tyrant. It's about Pharaoh.
Yeah, they said, our Lord, indeed. Oh, Moses is tyrant. And your Lord is not at all a tyrant.
It is for his slaves. Whoever does wrong, it is against it. And your Lord is not at all a tyrant to his slaves. This is the exact verse I was thinking of, but there's a couple other ones that come later.
It's unfortunate. I mean, I guess it depends how you define tyrant, but
the sentence that comes from me cannot be changed, and I am in no way a tyrant to the slaves. So again, this exact verse of tyrant is from Abd-az-Zara 2b.
Yeah, that
this is straight from the Talmud.
Studies in religio. That's actually Abu Bakr that says that. Al-Siddiq. Where's Abu Bakr at? He
I was a lot meant to remember all the things.
His last one. Yeah, he said, although he had such a faith which was too great to suffice all the inhabitants of the earth, he was afraid that his heart might go astray. So he used to utter while weeping, would that I have been a bitten tree. Whenever he was reminded of his position in Allah's sight, he would say, by Allah, I would not rest assured and feel safe from the deception of Allah, even if I had one foot in paradise. So yeah, that was a quote from Abu Bakr.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember where that's from. Hang on. Let me look that up, Bobby.
We are best over what they say, and you are no way a tyrant over them. It's about Muhammad. So these two is the ones I was thinking of. So whoever does right is right for his soul, and whoever does wrong, it is against it. The idea of Allah not being a tyrant on the day of judgment, which is actually what the Talmud is. So again, this is like quoting the Talmud. The Talmud in Abd-az-Zara 2b talks about Judgment Day and talks about how the people will go before God in groups, and their imams, their leaders, will go before them, and they will give defenses of that community. And if that community is found wanting, the entire community is punished. And in that, it talks about how God finds satisfaction in hunting the wrongdoers. So he like laughs heartily while slaughtering the wrongdoers, and it sounds very much like Allah, which it's kind of interesting. But in the Talmud, it has that view of he's not a tyrant to his slaves, but yet obviously Allah is a tyrant. He forces all of these things to happen, especially if you take the Hadith. But even if you don't take the Hadith, if you just take the Quran, Allah's still forcing all of this. There's no one who can cause someone who is going to hellfire to be saved. You cannot, even if you do da'wah to them, it will not save them. According to the Quran, da'wah is kind of useless. But we can go deeper as it keeps going. So Sahih Bukhari 6594. This one's fun. And Allah's Messenger, the truthful and truly inspired, said, each one of you is collected in the womb. And this is again pretty much exactly the same. I don't know if there's any difference here. Now, so those three are pretty much identical in contents. 6606 or 6607, Sahih Bukhari is different. And this one is a little interesting. The next one is the like, wow, I can't even believe it says that verse, or Hadith. And Sahih Bukhari 6607, there was a man who fought most bravely of all the Muslims on behalf of the Muslims in battle in the company of the Prophet. The Prophet looked at him and said, if anyone would like to see a man from the people of fire, let him look at this brave man. So Muhammad is saying this brave man is going to hell. On that, a man from the people followed him, and he was in that state, fighting fiercely against the pagans, till he was wounded. And then he hastened to end his life by placing his sword between his breasts. and pressed it with great force till it came out between his shoulders.
Wow.
So the man impaled his heart because he got wounded. Then
And
the
because he knew
man
that the only way to go to heaven was to die in battle.
to die as a martyr. Yeah. Then the man who was watching that person went quickly to the prophet and said, I testify that you are Allah's messenger. The prophet asked him, why do you say that? He said, you said about so-and-so, if anyone would like to see a man from the people of fire, they should look at him. He fought most bravely of all of us on behalf of the Muslims, and I knew that he would not die as a Muslim martyr. So when he got wounded, he hastened to die and committed suicide. Thereupon the prophet said, a man may do the deeds of the people of the fire, while in fact he is one of the people of paradise. And he may do the deeds of the people of paradise, while in fact he belongs to the people of fire. And verily, the rewards of the deeds are decided by the last actions. So the last thing you ever do in this life will decide if you go to heaven or hell, according to this hadith in Bukhari. Wow. So if you are a pious Muslim your entire life, you have a zabiba the size of a mountain, you literally look like a unicorn, does not matter. If you sin in the last moments of your life, you are going to hell, according to this hadith. So it's actually a contradiction. It's not actually that your actions are weighed on Judgment Day, as the Quran says, mind you. So this is a contradiction of the Quran and a contradiction with the hadith. The Quran says we are judged by our good books, or a good book and our bad book that has all of our deeds done in it. And if your good deeds, if you think a good thing and then do it, you're rewarded hundreds of times or like a dozen times. If you think a good thing and don't do it, you're rewarded once. If you think a bad thing and don't do it, you refrain from doing the bad thing, you're rewarded for that. If you think a bad thing and then do the bad thing, you're punished for that, but only by one. That's the standard view of how Muslims get into paradise without atonement. Here, this is very clear that the rewards, the deeds, what will be judged is only the last action that you commit. So it's not all the other nonsense you do. You could live like a sinner your entire life and then come to Allah in the last moment and be saved, according to this, according to the other ones combined with it. That if you were written for the book of life, doesn't matter how you live, you don't have to be pious as a Muslim. So whenever the Muslims are like, oh, Christians have a license to sin, point this out. Muslims have a license to sin, much more so than Christians. Christians are actively taught not to. There's no reason, and especially if you can just like go touch the black rock, which is why all of the people on the Hajj are doing terrible, heinous, evil things. As we've obviously known that for a long time, but my main man, Dr. Malik, he obviously showed that it's way worse than what a lot of people realized, unless you were around for a long time and looked at some of the stuff like the hashtag Mosque Me Too and the Hajj reveals and the ex-Muslim testimonies of their experiences at Hajj. But yeah. What up, Joe? So couldn't a Muslim just refute this with, he's God and you're not?
No.
I mean, no, because Allah is not supposed to be evil and Allah is evil. Like for the full argument, just talking about this one, it's a contradiction. It's a contradiction with the Quran. And in the Quran, as we read earlier, in Surah 4, there can't be contradictions. Surah 482. If there's many contradictions within Islam, it doesn't work. Allah knows best. Again, I mean, that's a very common phrase in Islam and Arabic, but it doesn't matter because that's a contradiction. You can't have the contradictions happening in this way.
Again, the problem is that God defines something as evil and then himself makes someone do it.
Yeah. So I see this comment now.
Yeah.
An all-powerful God wouldn't be bound by human standards of morality. Yes. But Allah is the one who decides morality. And
exactly.
It contradicts his morality that he says in the Quran. So the 99 names of Allah contradict this view because Allah is the just one. He is the loving one. He's the merciful one. He's the bestower of mercy. Those things don't actually line up with this, with him forcing people into hell. He created people for hell. That's not loving. That's not merciful. That's not just.
No.
By his own standards.
Precisely. So, and so it's not kind of an Allah knows best type deal. It's like me saying that, murder is wrong and then commanding the murder of a person.
Right.
That I've already established it's wrong.
Right. You'd be hypocritical, and God can't be a hypocrite and still be good or God. Like, philosophically, there's arguments from the greatest possible being, maximally great being arguments. Allah can't be those. Right. So Allah doesn't fit the bill for what a deistic God would naturally look like from logic and philosophy. Anyway, I do a video on that sometime. But this is Sahih Muslim 2662C. This is one people should remember because it is one of the most damning hadith there is in my view. So Aisha, the mother of the believers, said that Allah's messenger was called to lead the funeral prayer of a child of the Ansar. I said, Allah's messenger, there is happiness for this child who is a bird from the birds of paradise. So if you don't know what the green birds are, those who are the greatest of people become big green birds in paradise, and they enjoy paradise through that way. Now, whether or not they still get up to the carnal pleasures of paradise, I am not aware of. I have not gone that deep into the study of the birds, but the idea is all martyrs become these birds, and all those who are pure become these birds. So she's saying this child who was young and unable to sin is a bird of paradise, for it committed no sin, nor has it reached the age when one can commit sin. So this is a young child. He said, Aisha, peradventure, it may be otherwise, because God created for paradise those who are fit for it while they were yet in their father's loins. So before he breathed a soul into them, he created them for paradise. And he created for hell those who will go to hell. He created them for hell while they were yet in their father's loins. So she's trying to bless this baby, this young toddler, by saying, well, obviously this child can't commit sin because it doesn't know right from wrong. Therefore, it's in paradise. So she was happy for this child that it would be able to become a bird and be a bird in paradise. I just, it seems silly, but and then he's like, oh no, Shari, that baby in hell, or that baby could be in hell. You don't know. Give back these, like double smacked her. Anyway, he did beat Aisha from time to time and caused her great pain. So this is one I want people to just like know off the back of their head. There's just the number 2662. It's a palindrome, so it should be easy to remember. And then C. But even if you just get 2662, this is the most known of the like 5 that have this format. So you should be able to find it pretty easy. But this means infant damnation is a part of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
This means aborted babies go to hell in Islam.
Well, they could.
Miscarriages, well, they could, or they could go to paradise. Depends on what Allah decides. But this means miscarriages can go to hell. That is wild. That is evil. That is insane.
What is interesting is that I hadn't thought about this before, but he said because God created while they were yet in their father's loins.
Yeah, in the testicles.
Right. Well, no, I understand that part. That's not what I was thinking. But like that. So he created them at that point for that, but then also they're not a person at conception, I guess, because they won't be born if they're aborted. I don't know.
Yeah, Talmud just basically says the same thing. In her father's loins, the sperm does not contain the person themselves, in a sense. It's like plugging in a flash drive to a computer. It contains the instructions, but not the computer. You're right. So before personhood is formed, you're already destined. So all children your father will have is already destined, and all of them will already go to hell. Which
Maybe.
also kind of begs the question of, well, I guess that doesn't beg the question because it's already determined. There is no ifs or buts. There is no Molinism in the situation of if your father dies young before he has kids, will those kids still go to hell? That
Because
can't
that's
happen in
determined.
Islam
Yeah.
because it's completely determined. Yeah. Needed to refute my own argument before I even spouted it in my head. Anyway.
Stupid.
Silly. It can't think logically about, ifs and buts because there are no ifs in Islam. Everything was always going to happen the way it was supposed to happen. But still, miscarriages in Islam go to hell.
Could result in hell.
Could result. But the vast majority of people go to hell according to
which is true.
Islam. The vast majority, like 99.999% of people who have ever been created, and jinn and animals go to hell.
And
because they also believe in animal damnation, which is its own thing. They also believe in animal salvation. Which is interesting. Yeah, no, animals will be judged on Judgment Day according to if they've accepted Allah.
Well, I did know that the earth the
earth
the
will
world and the stars and the heavens came willingly or not willingly. I forget which one it is, but they also are subject to having to obey Allah, and if they don't, then they're judged.
Right. Yeah, animals get judged. Yes, this is actually on Islam QA, like the big popular site to answer Muslim questions. Is like, what happens to an animal when it dies? And it's like Allah will judge it, and if it is found to be wanting, it will be annihilated. Like it'll be Thanos snapped out of existence.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. So we actually have animals who are going to be saved according to the Quran, like the hoopoe.
The hoopoe.
And the dog of the sleepers of the cave, and the she camel, and the Barak, the terrifying,
freaking donkey beast.
Yes, sleep paralysis demon. If you want to call that an animal, that will be in paradise. But you also have the she camel of Salem. That'll be in paradise.
Not all dogs go to hell.
Yeah. No shahada for me. So all dogs go, no, not all of them. There is at least one dog who will be in paradise, and that is the dog of the sleepers of the cave.
Which is criminal to me.
Yeah, all the other ones probably, but yeah.
Because even one dog going to hell is crazy. Not happening. Can't stand it.
Ejaculation is mass genocide according to the
But again, everything's predetermined, so like
the ironic part is the vast majority of sperm is going to die whether or not you succeed in pregnancy or not.
Right.
Because only one of them, depending on if you have like twins or depends on anyway. The vast majority of the time, only one of them would possibly survive and make it into the embryo.
Right.
But then the sperm still kind of dies when it becomes part of the embryo. Anyway. But
because it has to meld with it. Yes, I was going to say something. Oh yeah. So yeah, never mind. Everything's just a game in Islam.
Yeah, it's not very serious. But this is a good one to memorize.
An exercise
I'm gonna go through a couple of this. Actually, let's go through this one first, and we'll come back. So Sahih Muslim 2650 is this fun number. The wacky digits on the back. So what is your view? What the people do today in the world and strive for, is it something decreed for them or preordained for them? Or will their fate in the hereafter be determined by the fact that the prophets brought them teaching what they did not act upon? I said, of course, it is something which is predetermined for them and preordained for them. So, very simple answer. Predestination, predetermination is the standard of Islam according to Muhammad, according to Sahih Muslim. He said further, then would it not be injustice to punish them?
Yes,
I felt greatly disturbed because of that and said, everything is created by Allah and lies in his power. He would not be questioned as to what he does, but they would be questioned. Thereupon he said to me, may Allah have mercy upon you. I did not mean to ask you, but for testing your intelligence.
So he just asked him like a brain teaser?
Apparently. Yeah.
He asked him a brain teaser, and he almost lost his faith because of it.
2 men of the tribe of Muzium came to Allah's messenger and said, Allah's messenger, what is your opinion that the people do in the world and strive for? Is something decreed for them, something preordained for them, and will their fate in the hereafter be determined by the fact that their prophets brought them teachings which they did not act upon? So basically, are they going to hell because they denied Allah, or are they going to hell because they are going to hell? And he says, of course, it happened as it is decreed by destiny and preordained for them. So it's not because you've rejected the Quran. It's not because you've rejected Dawah. It's not because you've rejected the way. It's because it was preordained and destiny said that you were going to hell.
2650.
And this view is confirmed by the verse of the Book of Allah, the Exalted and Glorious. Consider the soul to him who made it and perfect it, and it perfect. Then breathed into its sin and its piety. This is one of the most damning verses of the entire Quran, and it is Surah 87. So we can jump to that real quick.
That's
Surah 87, 2 and 3. He who creates then proportions, who measures then guides. So the way this is interpreted in Surah 87, in this hadith, is that he is breathed into it its sin and its piety. So Allah is causing us to sin, and then we are punished for it because of predetermination, not because of accepting or rejecting Islam. That's evil. Like, and then the obvious question is, well, wouldn't that just be injustice? Like, would it not be an injustice to punish them? I felt greatly disturbed because of that, because he could see the logical error in that thinking. Like, yeah, this should obviously cause you to be disturbed. It should cause you to be like, huh. But he would not be questioned as to what he does, is the answer.
yes. Amen.
You can't question Allah. So obviously this is false. Obviously this is evil. Obviously this is injustice. But who are you to question Allah? And again, it's not because of what you're doing. It's just because of your determination before you were born, before you were even conceived, before you had a soul breathed into you, before you became a person. You were preordained to be a kafir and go to hellfire and then suffer eternally in it. Wonderful.
So
wonderful.
Buddy in the comments said that abortion is not allowed in Mormonism, and currently he's correct.
No, historically though. Look at the early followers of Joseph Smith, what they did and practiced. Many Marys, Mary Arb did a stream with David on that topic, with Joseph Smith being Muhammad, like being the reincarnation of Muhammad. And she went over all the similarities between the Ummah and the community of Joseph Smith, what they do, what they said, what they believed, and their practices with their women, because they both liked them young, and they both liked many of them. Joseph Smith married much more women than Muhammad did, but we don't know how many sex slaves Muhammad had. So Joseph Smith's body count was in the 40s or 50s, if not a little bit higher. And Muhammad's was at least like 15, if not significantly more than that. That's just including the named ones that we have. Anyway. Is the greatest of those who commit injustice. Don't insult the Italians like that.
Okay. So
Mom has the intelligence of a spaghetti noodle. That's great. Jack Ray with the 5 gifted subs. Thank you again. Hey, Mario got it. Not Sebastian, unfortunately.
Dang it.
Thank you again, brother. I really do appreciate it. You're helping me slowly build up my accounts so I can quit my day job and do this full time. So I do appreciate it. But yeah, 50s. Yes, Joseph Smith married many, many, many girls. He married a bunch of 14-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 15-year-olds, which was considered pedophilia by the 1800s standard, mind you. All the idea of that, oh, they married them, they never married them that young. That was always abnormal because women would die more in pregnancy at that time period. So they wanted women to wait till at least 16 to get married. And then presumably 18 by doing that. I was mocking Brigham Young.
Brigham Young. So, according to
Brigham Young. That's cute.
Yes.
I didn't see that. Yeah.
According to a Reddit user, Joseph Smith would always get Dr. Bennett to perform abortions on his plural wives whenever there was a pregnancy scare. Let me see. Here.
Yeah. So I love this comment. Are we sure Allah is Satan? I thought Satan was smarter than this.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to the Hadith, he breathed into it its sin and its piety. And that's the idea of here. So the exegeting of Surah 87, 2 and 3 is that it is sin and piety that is controlled by it. But is Allah supposed to be the second most evil being? Allah second to nothing is pagan. This is how we know Islam is the truth. Allah has to be the second, like the most evil being. Otherwise, he's not the most of everything. Yeah, of course. Pregnancy
dude.
scare.
So it goes way deeper than I thought. So John Bennett was Joseph Smith's assistant church president and also medical doctor. After being excommunicated in 1842, Bennett accused Smith of practicing spiritual wifery and claimed he helped manage pregnancies resulting from these relationships.
Mm-hmm. Well, because he'd also do the soul marriages, the soul tie marriages.
Here's the problem.
He would consummate them too.
So it says there is no direct documented evidence, such as first-hand accounts, medical records, or testimony from the women involved. Here's the problem. First of all, the women involved would not have been allowed to speak. Second of all, the medical records would have either been non-existent or falsified because it happened within the church. So there would not have been any record of that. And third,
it's the Wild West.
Yeah, people just did stuff.
They were in Utah. They didn't have any legal. They were not under the jurisdiction of the U.S. at that point. They had no laws.
They were in Missouri.
Or for that section of it. By the time they got to Utah, they just started
never went to
genociding people.
Brigham Young went to Utah. Joseph Smith went from Missouri to Illinois, and then Brigham Young went to Utah.
So the butcher was just Brigham Young's assassin, and they went and killed all the Indians and all the dissenters in Utah.
Well, I've said this before, but it was legal in Missouri to kill Mormons at one time. So
valid. Anyway, I mean, again, you should convert them out of it.
Don't do that.
At that point in time, they were like, I don't know if you know,
but they were
studied early Mormonism.
Yeah, no, this is bad.
It is bad, dude. It was basically like there's a reason Joseph Smith was called the white man Muhammad, the white Muhammad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though Muhammad was also white.
Yeah. One of his critics in his day called him the American Muhammad. Just so on point. It's amazing.
And they didn't know a whole lot about Islam back then.
Yeah. Oh, so part of the pregnancy scare thing is that most of the women that he married were already married.
Mm-hmm.
And he was not supposed to be having sex with them. They were supposed to just be married in the church and then have that marriage be like He beat me to saying Muhammad was white. Most of those women were not supposed to be consummating their marriage with Joseph Smith, even though Joseph Smith still did that. But he was supposed to just be marrying them. So because polygamy is fine, in Mormonism, you're supposed to marry as much people as possible. So you're guaranteed to become a spirit woman and then get plowed for eternity to make a bunch of babies.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Gain favor by gaining babies.
Yeah. So, Surah 8, 42, 43. This is part of the Kadar, but not necessarily part of the Allah is evil. Just this one and the next surah. So 8 and 9 are some of the most violent surahs of the Quran. And this one's going to go through why the Muslims lost the battle. Which is interesting in and of itself. But when you were on the near bank and they were on the far bank and the caravan was below you, and if you had planned to meet one another, you surely would have failed to keep the appointment. But so that Allah might conclude a thing that must be done, so that he who died might perish as a clear proof, and he who survived might survive as a clear proof. So dying and surviving is clear proofs from Allah for him to be the true God, which is kind of funny. Indeed, Allah in truth is the hearer, the knower. When Allah showed them to you in your dream as few in number, and if he had shown them to you as many, you would have faltered and would have argued over the matter, but Allah saved. Indeed, he knows what is in their hearts, what is in hearts. And when you met, he showed them to you as few in your eyes and lessened you in their eyes, so that Allah might conclude a thing that must be done. To Allah, all things are brought back. The reason why this is in the Quran is because the Muslims are complaining, saying, hey, Muhammad, you told us there weren't going to be many of them, that you had a dream that there was only a few people and we can go and conquer them. We went out and they had more people than we did. What's that about? And then this revelation comes out and it's like, oh, Allah just forced him to have this dream in order for this predetermined thing to happen, to come to pass. Because Allah, again, has control over everything. It's not that Muhammad is a false prophet and he's just lied to you. It's Allah decreed it to be that. And he even he deceived Muhammad too. Instead of just, divinely determining him to have more faith to fight an outnumbered enemy, he instead tricked Muhammad. He lied to Muhammad in a dream. And dreams are supposed to be one of the only methods you can get to have reliable revelation from Allah. Is dreams. And yet Allah lied to the prophet in his dream.
But what trickery? Like, you determined his actions. Womanji. But no, you determined his actions. So like that's like a Molinist type thing. Like, if X, like if person A is in situation B, then he will choose C. So then you put person A in situation B, so that way they choose the desired outcome. Well, that works with like actual free will, though. That doesn't work with determinism, because with determinism, you're just putting person A in situation B to determine them for situation C.
Right.
Yes, they are indeed. Now we know.
Yeah, we were unsure. We actually called them like cursed by God before that point.
It's true.
But they're fine. It's chill.
One time, so we had is it Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses that always have the Lord's Supper but never take it? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember which one.
Okay, hang on.
While you're looking that up, we'll just go through this one real quick, because again, it's not really part of the argument. It just shows it. And if they had wished to go forth, they would surely have made ready some equipment, but Allah was adverse to their being sent forth and held them back. And it was said, sit with the sedentary. So this is again them going out to war, and there was a group of them that stayed back, and they're like, "What? Why did this happen?" And he says, "Allah willed it." And then gives this excuse of, if they had gone forth among you, they would have added nothing to you except trouble, and would have hurried back and forth among you, seeking to cause sedation among you. And among you there would there are some who would have listened to them. Allah is the will of the believer. This is again the Molinist type position, which doesn't make any sense from the deterministic position.
Molinism doesn't make sense. Okay, so it is true. It is Jehovah's Witness and not Mormons. But Mormons, they, which is weird. They practice it with bread and water instead. But Jehovah's Witness, what they do is every year they hold communion. So they have the Lord's Supper. But nobody takes it because only the 144,000 are allowed to take the Lord's Supper. Well, so I have a story. So one time
they pass it out so that only the chosen do it.
Exactly.
It just passes by everyone else.
So one time we had a brother that used to come out to our church every once in a while. His name was Bruce. And Bruce is a big black dude who was in the United States military. And he was kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I think he was overseas. He didn't have a church or anything like that, but he found a church, but it was a Watchtower church, right? So it was a Jehovah's Witness church. Well, he goes in, he's like, I need to go to church. Here's the church. So he goes in and he sits down and they're having the service and they pass around the emblems and nobody else takes it but him. He takes it and passes it on. And after the meeting, he said, everybody come up to me. Looking at me with surprise and awe because only the 144,000 are allowed to do that. And so apparently that meant that Bruce was one of the 144,000.
As a black man.
Those
who were cursed by God. Yeah.
Well, the Watchtower never held that position, I don't think. I don't think Jehovah's Witness ever anathematized black people.
Anyway, so Allah was Muhammad. Sorry, the same person. Muhammad was a closed theist. Crazy, but it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, he is. He's not just a closed theist. He's the extreme version of it. As extreme as you can possibly get. He's exhaustive divine determinism.
Yeah, EDD.
Yeah, EDD, not like ED.
No, not what.
But
I'm not gonna say that.
Worse for you. Anyway,
yes.
If your Lord willed, all ED is caused by EDD.
Anyway, I'd rather have ED.
If your Lord willed, all who are on the earth would have believed together. Would you force men until they are believers? If your Lord willed, all who are on earth would have believed together.
So he could have.
He could have. It is not for any soul to believe except by permission of Allah. He has set uncleanness upon those who have no sense. Say, look at what is in the heavens and the earth, but signs and warnings do not help people who will not believe. But as we got earlier in the Quran, Allah causes you to believe. He also causes you to disbelieve. And he could have, if he wanted to, all who are on the earth would have believed together.
Right.
Allah could have created everyone for paradise. He deliberately chose to cause billions of people to suffer in hellfire for eternity.
Yeah. And if we want to know, 2 Peter 3:9 states clearly that our God does not desire that any should perish, but that all should come to repentance.
Yep.
So that is the desire of our God, right?
Yep.
And it is all good. Whereas the desire of Allah is
evil
in every case.
Yep. And this exact phrase is going to come up multiple times. So it's not a one-off for all the Muslims who are going to be arguing against this. W real God, absolutely.
Yes, indeed. W real God.
Yes. God wants everyone to believe. And that's again going against, I would say the Calvinist position as well.
Absolutely.
If God actually wants us to be saved.
Yeah.
So if you then say that God forces people into hell, That would be a contradiction.
Yes.
Within the Bible.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's also, so it's contradiction between the Bible and the Quran, the Old Testament, the New Testament, and the Quran. So you have God actually loves us and cares for us, wants us to be saved, and God does not love the kafir, and He created them to torture them for His pleasure. Allah enjoys. That doesn't sound like God. That sounds like Satan. Just, Anyway. 13, Surah 13:27 is the next one. That one we just went over was Surah 10, 100, and 99 through 101. So Surah 13:27. Those who disbelieve say, if only a sign were sent down upon from his Lord. Say, indeed, Allah leads astray those whom He wills and guides to Himself all who turn. He leads astray those whom He wills. That seems like a pretty clear verse of the Quran to me. Surah 14:4. And we never sent a messenger except with the language of his people so that he might make it clear for them. But earlier we read that even if they have a messenger, it doesn't matter. They will still go to hell if they're predetermined to. So this doesn't really make any difference. Then Allah leads astray those whom He wills and guides those whom He wills. He is the mighty, the wise. He leads astray and He guides whom He wills. You have no option in salvation, according to Islam.
Yeah, Talon makes a good point. The stream audio glitched and you genuinely sounded like Sans from Undertale. This is true. And also, after that, your audio is desynced.
My audio is desynced now?
Yes.
That's so annoying. Now it looks like it's right for me.
It's not right for me.
Okay. Well, good. I wonder if I can
I'll probably have to cap it at 2 hours. So just
okay.
Rewarding.
Jack Ray is based. Jack Ray is always based.
True.
How desynced is it? Do I need to reload?
Nah, it's not that bad.
Okay. Deja vu.
I just been to this place before. I wanna be.
Can't sing. So, Surah 1693. If Allah had willed, He could have made you one nation, but He leads astray those whom He wills and guides those whom He wills, and you will indeed be asked about what you used to do. Jalalin says, if Allah had willed, He would have made you one community having a single din, religion, but He misguides anyone He wills and guides anyone He wills without noting any discrepancy. He continues, you will be questioned on the day of rising about what you did, and then you will be repaid for it. So you're going to be repaid for things you had no option to do. And He could have saved everyone if He wanted to, but instead He actively wants to mislead you. He is a God of deception. That is evil. That is wicked. It's the way you're dressed. That is why they be manifesting when we talk about Jesus. Yeah, they just can't handle the real God. Anyway, again, this one's super important. Jalalin was brought up earlier, but if Allah willed, this is Ibn Kathir, He would have made all of humanity one nation. Meaning He could have created harmony among them, and there would not be any differences, conflicts, or hatred between them. So, part of the problem of evil in Christianity is, oh, well, God, created a world that's full of pain, suffering, and evil and all that stuff. And one of the responses to it is it may not have been logically possible or beneficial for humanity to live in such a robotic state. But we're still robots in Islam. This is not really a solution for the Islamic problem of evil, because we're robots. We have no free will. So He could have made it to where no suffering would have ever happened. Yeah, He chose suffering and evil to happen, and He perpetrated them by causing it to happen. And He's also a deceiver. Again, as we mentioned earlier, He deceived the Prophet of Allah with a dream. One of the most sacred ways to interact with Allah, Allah used it to deceive His Prophet. So how can you trust the revelation of Muhammad in anything else? Sorry, 24. 2440. We can just fly through these. A lot of these are going to be pretty similar, but I just want to show the overwhelming position that the Quran has on the matter, because Muslims always waffle on this position. They just waffle on it, quote a hadith you don't know, and then hope to move on. You can hold their feet to the fire on Allah ordaining and causing evil. And we'll go through some of the ways that they try to explain against it. They basically say that Allah predetermines it, decrees it, but we acquire it, and that's why it's justified to punish us. That position's nonsense. It's kind of stupid. We can go through why that's stupid and nonsense at the end of all this. But when he holds out his hand, he can barely see it, and for whom Allah has not appointed light, for them there is no light. There's no possible way for them to see the truth. For those who have been misled, Surah 28:56 is the next one. Indeed, you do not guide those whom you love, but Allah guides those whom He wills, and He is the best aware of those who walk rightly. Well, if they're already walking rightly, Allah doesn't really need to guide them. They're already on the right path. But Allah guides whom He wills. Yeah, He does it anyways. 32:13. And if we had so willed, we could have given every soul its guidance. So now it's just not the communities that could be one nation, but now it's, if we had willed, we could have caused all of living things to be saved. But the word from me concerning evildoers took effect, and I will fill Gehenna with the jinn and humankind together. This is evil. This is wicked. This is insane madness. Anyway, Surah 35:8 is he whose evil deeds are made to seem good to him so that he considers them good. Allah indeed leads astray those whom He wills and guides those whom He wills, so do not let your soul expire in grieving for them. Indeed, Allah is aware of what they do. There is this constant thing of Allah causes them who do evil to think they're doing good. We saw that a little bit already, but there's a couple other verses in the Quran that says Allah made evil seem good to cause them to retain their evil, to make them go to hell. So part of Allah's guiding or misguiding them is to make them think that their evil is good so that they don't repent, because Allah wants them to go to hell. The God
well, he said Allah is no evil, just name. I'm like, okay, well, then the God represented by the name Allah is evil.
Right. Yeah,
it's he's just, what is this guy? Yes. I am so looking forward to the day that the Muslims read Institutes.
Anyway, yeah, so Allah causes people to sin, and then in His misguidance, He's causing them to think their evil is good. That is the most evil being you can possibly be. Because not only is He causing you to do the evil, He then causes you to not be able to repent because you don't think you're doing evil. That's about as wicked as you can possibly get. And we have set a bar. This is again Surah 36:9 through 11. And we have set a bar in front of them and a bar behind them, and have covered them so they do not see. Whether you warn them or do not warn them, it is all the same for them, for they do not believe. So it doesn't matter if you do dawah. You warn only him who follows the remainder and fears Ar-Rahman in secret. To him bring news of forgiveness and a rich reward. So if you're already fearing Allah, which is not actually Allah here, this is again a rabbinic thing. This is in the Talmud with Ar-Rahman. Those are the only people who can actually be saved. We have a similar passage to some of the other ones in Surah 42:8 with the all nations. If Allah had willed, He could have made them one community, but Allah brings those to whom He wills into His mercy, and the wrongdoers have no friend nor helper. So He forces the wrongdoing, and then also forces them to not be able to be saved. And He could have saved humanity. I want that to be explicitly clear. Allah could have saved all the kafir. He is choosing actively not to. So it's not that we have free will and thus we're choosing sin. It's Allah's choosing sin for us and then punishing us for it. That is wickedness. That is evil. Later on in the same surah, in ayah 44, he whom Allah leads astray, for them there is no protecting friend after him, and you will see the evildoers when they see their doom. They say, is there any way of return? So Allah, again, leads astray. He is responsible for the leading of those who are astray. 61:5. And when Moses said to his people, "O my people, why do you persecute me when you know well that I am Allah's messenger to you?" So when they went astray, Allah led their hearts astray. Allah does not guide the transgressing people. This is a part of the contradictions. So in some versions of how he leads them astray, it's because of their sin. In other versions, it's him actively causing them to sin and him doubling down on it. And then in the Hadith, it's very, very clear that everything's predetermined. You have no option. And it's like pain of anathema, basically, to not believe in divine determinism. If you reject Kadar, you're all of a sudden doing bid'ah, you're an innovator, and you're outside of Islam, and you're a kafir. So you have to believe in this system. Otherwise, you go down. We went through Surah 87, 2, and 3. Pretty sure. We just double check that real quick. Yeah, this is the one from the Hadith. And then 91 is the last one I have in my list, 7 and 8. So, and a soul and him who perfected it and inspired its wickedness and its righteousness. No, actually, I was off. 87, 2, and 3 is interpreted as Allah decreeing. Let's actually just go back to that real quick, because I misremembered which one it was. And he who creates them proportions. This is your deeds, measures, then guides. This is like the 4 criteria of the Hadith of he creates you, he proportions your time on the earth, and he gets what you're going to be doing, and then whether or not you're going to heaven or hell. So those 4 categories that the angels are writing in your book whenever you're a clot in your mom, which is not actually what happens, you're an embryo, but and those 4 things written is actually in Surah 87, 2 through 3. And then Surah 91 is what Muhammad was quoting earlier in Sahih Muslim 2650, that when a soul, so it's just a list of things that Allah made, and a soul and him who perfected it and inspired its wickedness and its righteousness. So Allah inspires our wickedness and then punishes us for it.
This dude.
Yeah, I figured he was going to say some crazy stuff. There's been
God is example, or Allah is God, Allah is Yoda.
I think maybe Yada, like Yada Bolaf.
It's funny. Bro.
Yeah.
He's funny, bro.
Yeah.
You
can interact with him if you want, but
there was no smile, JP.
I saw a smile.
It didn't happen.
So the basic way that this is like argued against is there's a couple different views. There's the Ashray model where people acquire it. Yoda. Oh, Tommy. Okay. Just gonna ignore that. So basically the idea for the Ashray school is Allah creates the act, Allah creates the will, Allah creates the ability, but humans acquire the act, which doesn't really make all that much sense to me. If Allah is controlling your will, controlling all of the abilities, controlling all the actions you're going to be doing, and controls your desire to do it, how in the world can humans be actually responsible? Judicially. If I were to put an AI chip in your brain that controlled the neurons firing of your central nervous system, of your motor cortex, and controlling all of your movements, and I made you pick up a knife and I made you stab someone, would you be guilty of murder?
Of course not.
In Islam, you would be. That's the logic. But oh no, you acquired it because you're in your body.
No.
Therefore, you go to jail forever.
Yay.
And are tortured by having your skin peeled off and have to eat burning coals. Yeah. Anyway, so you have the Ashray School, which doesn't really make any sense, and that's like the COSP, like the acquisition model. So there's so many different ways you can go around that. It's basically just a circular argument that doesn't really do anything. I think it's pretty dumb. Then the Mutsali, if I remember how to pronounce that, their version of the argument is basically Allah guides you into accountability, where He gives you like sufficient opportunity, which is why the whole doctrine of the Fatra exists, where there's like the prophetic void between Isa and Muhammad. They had no prophet to tell them about Allah, so therefore those people are not guilty on Judgment Day, and they have to do the test of the hellfire. So you have that view, but then that would just be in direct contradiction with all the other divine determinism stuff. Like it still doesn't make any sense with divine determinism. So the main arguments against it just doesn't really work super well. But I can stop that and then share this. We can go through these quick arguments real quick. Make it a bit bigger. So this is part of my Google Doc on Allah's evil. Just ignore them.
It's an inside joke.
It's an inside joke. Just ignore them. Yeah. That's what I do. we all know the eyes are the level straps of the anus. Yeah. Anyway, so the Islamic deity of deception argument. I'm going to be curious what you think of this one.
Okay.
The Quran teaches exhaustive divine determinism, meaning Allah determines all things, including the theological beliefs of Muslims and everyone else. We read a number of these surahs today. The majority of Muslims have false theological beliefs, according to Sunan Ibn Majah 3992, which states that 72 out of 73 groups of Muslims will be in hellfire, and 71 out of 72 groups of Christians will be in hellfire, and 70 out of 71 groups of Jews will be in hellfire. So one group of Jews, Christians, and Muslims will be in Gehenna. Everyone else is in hell. So if EDD is true, Allah determines Muslims and everyone else to affirm false theological beliefs. If Allah determines 98.6% of Muslims and everyone else to affirm false theological beliefs, then Allah is an unworthy source of theological beliefs. We can also add in Muhammad's dream that was false. If Allah is an untrustworthy source of theological beliefs, then his eternal speech, the Quran, cannot be trusted, and theological beliefs derived from his eternal speech are not justified. Therefore, theological beliefs derived from the Quran are not epistemically justified, and Muslims have no reason to believe that Allah exists and that Muhammad is his prophet. Tear me a new one. What's wrong with this?
So I'm just trying to think.
I know, JP. He's born in 2005. That it hurts my soul to think that.
She was born in 2005.
Oh, true.
I was born in 2004.
Oh yeah. Still, you guys are so young, man.
I know.
Like, you guys are adults. You have careers. I was like, it hurts, man. I'm so old.
So
anyway, sorry.
How would you, in point 4, make the leap from Allah determining people to affirm false beliefs to then his book being untrustworthy?
Because Muslims trust in their beliefs from the Quran, but the Hadith say that Allah causes Muslims to have false beliefs, or at least determines Muslims to go to hell.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think, like, if this were applied to Christianity, right, or Calvinism. Like they still affirm that the Bible is true, despite the Lord under Calvinism leading people astray. And I guess you could
There's still a difference there between the Muslim position and the Calvinist position, though.
How's that?
Well, I guess no, Calvinists still believe that reprobates would be Christians too. Like those professing Jesus would still be possibly reprobates.
Yeah, like I said with evanescent grace, right? There are people who get grace and then get it taken away.
It's just,
so, and there, like, obviously, we would both affirm that we can't see the hearts. So, like, we don't know if anybody is saved necessarily. All we see is the actions. But, like, but I guess, I mean, I would consider myself to be a Christian, and I think any well-meaning Calvinist would also probably come to the same conclusion, I hope. And if that's the case, then I believe something false under Calvinism, and so it would be a similar dilemma. But I feel like the book could still be true without, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah, so you're saying that P4 doesn't follow?
So yeah, what I would say is that the book could
or
still
P5
be
doesn't follow.
The book could still be true. It's just Allah is making people believe a bunch of really stupid things about it, but what the book actually says is true. You know what I'm saying? Now that makes Allah untrustworthy.
But they're trusting Allah from his book for salvation. And he determines that the vast majority of them are going to hell.
Right.
But so I guess sorry, backing up the logic.
Right.
Allah is untrustworthy because they're trusting Allah.
Right.
Because Allah is untrustworthy, his sources of knowledge are untrustworthy. The Quran is one of his sources of knowledge, therefore the Quran is untrustworthy.
So you're saying that it calls into questions Allah's ability to be a witness.
To be a witness and to give truth.
To give true
revelation.
I mean, I would say that it definitely calls into question that, but again, like a false witness doesn't always lie. So it definitely
can you trust a false witness?
No, you can't. I'm not saying you could trust the false witness, but the conclusion,
so you can't epistemically
justify it. Yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I mean, so Quran, and
even if the Quran has true things in it, you couldn't trust it to be true because Allah is not truthful.
Because God, the God who Allah last name. Because that's false. Yeah, I mean, what is this guy on?
I have no idea.
But yeah, so I think yeah, it does follow. But okay, so let's now. I'm just trying to steel man a Muslim.
Steel man the Muslim position.
The Muslim position, which would be EDD. I mean, again, no, unfortunately, I'd rather have that. I guess it would technically be epistemically unjustified. I mean, yeah, the argument follows, in my opinion. It is epistemically unjustified. It's at the very least epistemically problematic, and I would say that probably the argument for the rationality argument really puts the nail in the coffin, because even if what the Quran says is true, your rationality is not what is interpreting it.
Yeah, you have no reason to believe that Allah exists, because the reason why you believe Allah exists and the reason why you believe Muhammad is his prophet is because of the Quran. But if you can't trust the Quran because you can't trust the Quran source, then how do you... And you could also throw in other supporting points like the demonic verses and Allah being the best deceivers and the dream and all that stuff, where it's very difficult for me to trust the Quran because the mediating, the arbitrating source of it is obviously untrustworthy. So I wouldn't trust a randomized process for truth. I would have to verify everything that it said. But you definitely don't trust a deliberately false,
known liar,
known falsehood, a known liar. Yeah. So Allah is a known liar.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. Probably just throw that in as one of the points of Allah is a known liar, and then have that, and then the conclusion follow from that, like, hey, don't trust liars. Anyway, we have a couple more to go through.
Sure.
So, get out of hell. The Quran condemns the Jews for allegedly believing that if they believe in God and do good works, they will be rescued out of hell. But the Quran also teaches that anyone could get out of hell if Allah wills it, which is true. I don't think we read this one or this one today, but basically, if Allah wants you to go out of hell, you can, by His decree. The Quran teaches that anyone who believes in Allah and does the smallest amount of good will be rescued out of hell. So there's a clear contradiction in the soteriology and eschatology of the Quran. The Jews are attacked for believing the mere belief in God and good works will rescue them from hell, while affirming that everyone, including Jews, who has mere belief in God and good works will be rescued from hell. You can also throw in every Jew. Actually, this is the different argument that I was intending to put into it. I copy and pasted this from one of my other documents before the stream went live. But the idea is there's a hadith that says that Jews and Christians, for any Muslim, no matter how much sin they do, even if it's the sin of mountains, a Jew and a Christian in Gehenna will be thrown into hellfire in order to replace that Muslim so that they then go into paradise. And as we read in the Jalal's book, that Muhammad intercedes for all the Muslims, and there is no Muslim that'll actually go to hell, according to that. So you have a bunch of contradictory viewpoints on, can Muslims go to hell? Will Muslims go to hell? Can Jews and Christians go to hell? All that stuff. And it's just very unclear. Slightly unrelated to this. I thought it was one of the other ones, so I'm just gonna move on. But again, I don't know if that one's directly. This one is directly. Let's go with this one first. He has 99 names. This is part of the names one. So one of the 99 names is Al-Wadud, the loving, which is also a pagan name. Fun fact from Wad, the loving one. So this is a pagan deity. So he has a pagan deity's names for part of his own. He has multiple pagan deity names in his 99 names, which is fun. The most loving or the all loving. Surah 85:14 and Surah 11:90. This is where he defines his lovingness. Al-Wadud suggests a capacity for boundless love towards all creation. Yet Allah does not love the kafir. Surah 3:32 explicitly states he does not love the kafir. A being with boundless love cannot simultaneously withhold love from any part of creation. There's a contradiction in Allah's actions, where he is not loving and actively hating the kafir, and Allah's eternal name, Al-Wadud, according to the Quran. Therefore, either Allah doesn't exist or the Quran is wrong about Allah's nature and or actions. If the Quran contains false information, then it is not the word of Allah and is false as it claims to be the word of Allah. If Allah doesn't exist, then he is not the true God of creation. If either Allah doesn't exist or if the Quran is false, then Islam is false. Conclusion, Islam is false.
I guess they would just try to redefine love like other people do.
Yeah, I don't really feel like that's super tenable though, because then he's less loving. If Allah is the greater,
but I'm not.
How can his love be so weak? Because even humans can love like this. This is nothing. So how can Allah be the all-loving when he only loves people who love him? Jesus condemned people who did that in a little bit. It's like, or you like even the pagans do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't see any contradiction. I guess they would probably try and skirt around it by saying that it's a different kind of love for certain people, but then, like you said, it cheapens it
Right.
And if it cheapens it, then it's really no love at all. And that would be, but I mean, Allah is very clearly has favorites, so that's not an issue. But I mean, yeah, no, I'd say that this follows, and I'd say that a well-meaning Muslim who understands the problem would see would see the logical thought flow.
Yeah, I actually really like this argument. You know, I've made like 50 or so arguments in syllogism form. This is one of my favorites. I do think it follows as well. Yeah. Is there anything in Islam which is universally affirmed without a contradicting position?
Determinism.
Allah is God. And determinism. Well, even the determinism, there's still some contradictory stuff within it. I think, actually, Allah is God is contradictory. Because Ar-Rahman or Ar-Rahman was so common in some of the early surahs that whenever he changed it to Allah, because Allah was not Allah's name starting out in Islam. Fun fact. Allah comes later on, and then he goes from Ar-Rahman all the time to Allah, and then the Muslims are like, hey, is it Allah or is it Ar-Rahman? Which of the gods do we follow now? And he's like, oh no, they're the same God. Don't worry about it. And that's in the Quran. It's like, anyway, so even his name isn't actually not contradictory. And then they just add more names to him over time. But yeah, because that's also from the rabbis. The rabbis call God Ar-Rahman in the Talmud. So the name of God in the Quran comes from the Jews. I can't think of anything else. How is Allah evil? That's what the
watch the stream back, bro. You just
basically the argument is Allah causes us to sin and then punishes us for it eternally and is actively deceiving people. So a deceiver is evil, a liar is evil, an unjust judge is evil, and a tyrant is evil, but Allah is all those things and worse, because he also causes all things to happen by his will. So all human evil that's ever happened was done by God's explicit command. Not just permission, his command, his will. He willed for children to be eaten by Jeffrey Epstein and raped.
Bring up Clippy's last comment if you wouldn't mind. So yes, you could definitely say, but whatever Allah says must be just. The problem is that he says different things for different people.
Yep.
And that's not just. And we all know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, quick argument for me, and then might hop off a little early tonight because my throat is getting rough, and we actually went through the material faster than I thought I would.
Yeah, this is
so Allah is Satan. Let's do this argument.
Okay.
So I made a comparative analysis of the attributes associated to Satan in the Bible and the attributes Allah has in the Quran. And there's a surprising amount of overlap between the two. So we're doing comparative theology. We're testing the Bible and its claims of the devil and Allah and the claims of the Quran. So, according to the Bible, Satan is a deceiver. He's a liar, according to John 8:44 and Revelation 12:9. He's a murderer of John 8:44. He is an accuser and a condemner of both Job, where he's literally called Hasatan, and Revelation 12:2 or 12:10. He is a blinder and a confuser. The God of this world is blind in the minds of the unbelievers, 2 Corinthians. He is a tempter. He is the one who leads people astray. 1 Thessalonians 3:5 and Matthew 4:11, 1-11, where Jesus is tempted by Satan in the wilderness. He is also a seeker of worship. He desires human worship and human affection. In Matthew 4:9, if you fall down and worship me, I will give you all these things. And he also masquerades as light. He masquerades as an angel of light. and 2 Corinthians 11:14. So those attributes are essentially who Satan is. He's a deceiver, a planner, a plotter, a murderer, an accuser, a confuser, blinder, a tempter, and a seeker of worship, and he masquerades as light or even maybe as a god. And then the attributes of Allah according to the Quran. Well, Surah 3:53 or 54, it says, but they Jews schemed, and Allah is the best of schemers. And in Surah 8:30, when they schemed, Allah schemed, and Allah is the best of schemers. He goes over this twice. So Allah has the attribute of being a deceiver. He also obviously gave Muhammad the false dream and false revelation to make them go out to battle, even though they were outnumbered. And he gave them demonic verses, or at least allowed the demonic verses to happen. And he causes those who are misguided to believe they are actually guided. So all of that is how he is a deceiver. He is a killer. He's the author of death. So Surah 9:5. Need I say more? But also Surah 47:4. When you meet the disbelievers, strike off their necks. And Surah 8, Surah 4. So many. There's so many jihad verses. So he is a murderer. He's the author of death, the financer of death, even. He's also the accuser. He's the condemner. In Surah 33:64, Allah has cursed the disbelievers and prepared for them a blazing fire. And in Surah 2:89 and 90, he condemns those who reject the Quran. So he's the accuser of the disbelievers, and he is also a blinder and a confuser. In Surah 2:7, as we read earlier, Allah has set a seal upon their hearts and their hearing, and over their vision is a veil. In 6:1-10, it says, we turned their hearts and their eyes just as they refused to believe the first time. So we read both of those today. But he's the one who's actively blinding the people and causing them to go and be led astray. He leads people astray. As we read several dozen verses in the stream, Allah is actively leading people astray from him. And yet he also seeks worship. In Surah 51:56, I did not create jinn or mankind except to worship me. And then he also identifies himself as light. In Surah 24:35, Allah is the light of the heavens and the earth. So he's masquerading as a God of light. So every single attribute the Bible assigns to Satan, well, Allah has. So basic syllogism for it. I can pull that up. Oh, not that. So premise 1, the Bible defines Satan by deception, murder, accusation, blinding temptation, seeking worship, and masquerading as light. The Quran attributes these same characteristics to Allah. Two beings sharing the same defining attributes must either be identical or one must be masquerading as other. I think this one is probably the weakest part of there. Therefore, the Allah of the Quran corresponds not to the God of the Bible, but to the Satan of the Bible. You could probably reword this in a way and have a much stronger conclusion. I think that follows better. I do think this is probably the weak point, but the idea is the Allah of the Quran corresponds not to the God of the Bible, but to the Satan of the Bible. So Allah is Satan. And I haven't spent enough time going back over this argument to make this point stronger, to make it actually follow. But the characteristics are obviously there. Allah does not match the God of the Bible. It has opposite attributes of the God of the Bible. The God of the Bible wants everyone to repent. He wants everyone to come to faith. He wants everyone to live. He is not a murderer. He is not a tempter. He does not force people into sin. He seeks worship, but he seeks worship because he's worthy to be worshipped. And he is light. He's not, pretending to be light. Anyway. Yeah. A toxic deity is indeed how I would describe Allah.
Well, I mean, if you want, I can reiterate my determinism argument. Yeah. So, to put it formally, so I would say, under theistic determinism, God is the ultimate sufficient cause of every human belief. So Allah is the ultimate sufficient cause of every human belief. What I mean by ultimate, it is the deciding, and sufficient meaning it is the substance of it. It is what is made of. So it is the cause. It is the cause of every human belief. For a person to rationally believe proposition A, their believing A must be appropriately explained by their grasp of the reasons/evidence for A, right? So in order for a person to rationally affirm something, you have to do that based on the evidence that you have already received. If God's determining decree is the sufficient explanation of the belief, then the person's grasp of reason is not the ultimate explanatory ground of the belief, right? So instead of evidence, we replace that with the determining decree. That is now the sufficient explanation. And it's not rationality anymore, it's the determinative decree. If the agent's appreciation of reasons does no real explanatory work in producing the belief, then the agent does not genuinely believe on the basis of reason, right? And if no one ever believes on the basis of reason, then no human belief is rationally justified. Theistic determinism is a human belief. Therefore, theistic determinism undermines itself because it is not rationally justified. So that's been my favorite epistemic argument against determinism, and more importantly Islam. It works particularly well in Islam because of the wording that Allah uses in the Quran about the way, so that Allah guides to the way and also misguides away from the way. And so if you take the way to mean Islam, then that's fine and stuff, but like if you take it a little bit more broader, being the way of reason, then yes, Allah misguides from the way of reason. And so that's been my thing recently. It's been this argument against the determinism. It's pretty good. Self-undermining.
Yeah. Which, any position that's all self-undermining should pretty much be just rejected. Is that right? You shouldn't be able to just disprove yourself.
One of the things that
isn't true.
One of the things you could say, well, Chase, whether or not my belief is based on rationale is neither here nor there. It is true. Okay, but you can't pretend to convince me of anything anymore now because it's not rational. We've discussed that it's not rational. And so if it's not rational, then nothing you can say or do will convince me of anything because I'm not making decisions based on rationality anymore. It's all determined. And let's say, for the sake of, I don't know, it's just mind breaking. Like, there is no way out of it. Either it's irrational and true, which is impossible because God is not irrational, or it's not true because it's not true, and it's not true, so it's not true.
Right. Yeah, I mean, as we read at the beginning of the stream for Islam, there are clear verses and there's unclear verses.
Right.
And all the verses we read tonight, I think, are clear. That Allah misguides people. That He deliberately misguides people. And He determined all of it, including if you're going to hell. Even if you are miscarried, as long as you have a soul, you are going to hell. So once He breathes soul into you, there are going to be billions of people who go to hell because of Muhammad. Because of Allah. Same thing. And we have Allah causing unborn to be in hellfire. That is wickedness. That is evil, because obviously they cannot be judged. If they were determined to die in the womb, therefore they had no possible future by which they could be judged. So this is Allah determining infants, not even if it's unborn, to go to hell based on the fact that He wants them in hell. That is evil. That's not the God of reality. That's not the God that we serve. That's not love. That's not mercy. That's not just. That is evil. and your prophet confirmed that. That's what he said. That's what he taught. So, Islam's obviously false.
Sorry, I had to clip the stream real quick.
Yeah, so we don't believe Bible is the original revelation, so comparing it with the Quran doesn't make it. That's so dumb, dude.
Not what we asked, first of all.
Prophets are not perfect people. It's very stupid to think they are. But again, you only believe that because of the Jews. Muhammad stole that from the Jews, and that's why you believe it. So again, that is just plagiarism of your religion from your false prophet who stole it from the rabbis. If you read the Talmud, that's in the Talmud. That the whitewashing happens, that the prophets, all of their sins are whitewashed. Go read Shabbat 55 A and B. You'll see it's whitewashed. They say if anyone says that David sinned, they're idiots. And then it goes through all the instances in which we obviously say he sinned, that the Bible says he sinned, and they explain it away in very stupid ways. So, yeah. Again, just go rewatch the stream. In Islam, they're absolutely, Allah misguides those. I just went over 2662C, Sahih Muslim, 2662C. Allah may cause infants and those who are miscarried to go to hellfire. So, yeah, that's your Quran. You hate your own Quran.
Yeah, it literally says,
reminds me
Allah
of a 5-year-old
misguides who he wills.
Right. Reminds me of a 5-year-old sticking his fingers in his ears, stomping his feet, screaming, "Neener, neener, neener." I have a 4-year-old. That's exactly it. But yeah, obviously, we have clear and unclear verses. We had several verses that just say explicitly Allah misguides. Anyway, but that's always going to be the response is, oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. That's a lie. No, it's not. No, it's not. Allah doesn't do that. Allah doesn't do that. He only misguides the evil because they don't read the whole Quran. They don't know the Quran. That's why we go through all of the verses to show the differences between them. Guys, Muslims isn't them trolling. They're just bad at arguing. It's wild. Allah doesn't misguide anyone. Allah only misguides those who are evil. So someone. Yeah, there's a contradiction in your own statement, my guy. Allah doesn't misguide anyone. He only misguides those who are evil. Anyway.
Jesus, Mudman are alike.
Yes, Islam is false. Fun fact. Anyway, yeah. So, any closing thoughts?
My closing thought is that there's a lot of life out there that we were predetermined to live. Let's go live it.
This I want to respond to real quick. Jesus and Muhammad are nothing alike.
Mudman.
I'm assuming he meant Muhammad. Jesus and Muhammad, nothing alike. Muhammad raped a child. Jesus is God and holy and sinless. Muhammad raped a child and tortured a man to death for money and then raped his wife. Those are not the same. Muhammad is evil. We'll go over that next week. That's the next week's stream is Muhammad is evil. We'll go through things you've never even heard of, because I'm sure most people don't read the Sirah. We're going to go through some stories of Muhammad. He is wicked. He is evil. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I got.
Yeah. I'll be next stream. Jesus was likely celibate. I mean, we're all Jesus' children. Be kind of creepy if he did have sex with someone, because he's God, and we are his kids. But Anyway, it wouldn't have been sin if he were to marry someone. Just, I don't know why he would want to. But, okay. Thank you guys for coming out, for interacting. Yeah. Next week, we're going to be going through all the terrible things Muhammad did. It's going to be not safe for work. We're going to go through a lot of sources, and yeah. Anyway, see you later. May the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit with you always. Go check out the stream I'm going to be doing with Chase and Andrew next Wednesday on apologetics if you're interested in that. Otherwise, we'll see you back here Thursday for Islam and Monday for a Bible study. And Tuesday, I'm going to be going live with Israel and Howitz again. So that'll be pretty cool. Okay. Good night. Laila tov.